打、被电击、被虐待，全部完成之后，你要给对你不好的人说谢谢。
Taiwan's Critical Moment program reports just how wolf-likes are Chinese companies. If employees perform poorly, they are punished by begging on the roadside and eating earthworms, host Liu Bioji said. Let's look at an incredibly exaggerated news story. You see these two girls hanging signs by the roadside, begging for money. Why would they resort to begging? It turns out they didn't meet their performance targets, and their boss told them, if you don't meet your targets, you'll have to beg on the street to make up the difference. Current affairs commentator Maxi Ping explained that in mainland China, due to intense business competition, a wolf culture has developed where employees are expected to compete like wolves. These two girls work in a store, and their boss told them, if you don't meet your sales targets today, you'll have to beg on the street, and each of you has to hang a sign that says, I'm begging here because I didn't meet my sales target. Later, people from a TV station came and asked them, don't you feel humiliated doing this? They responded, it's not about dignity, it's about making money. To earn money, you first have to put aside your pride. This is how they are pushing the wolf-like spirit out of their employees. Another real estate company has a unique way of dealing with employees who fail to meet their performance targets. The boss first asks them, if you don't meet your targets this month, do you choose to be doused with icy water or run 10,000 meters? The employees chose to be doused with icy water. As the month came to an end and the employees didn't meet their targets, they were all doused with icy water. On the other hand, there's a photography website where, if employees don't meet their targets, they are punished by having to eat live earthworms. But the boss is merciful enough to allow them to dip the worms in mustard sauce. It's truly extreme, and they call it the wolf spirit. They believe that only by subjecting employees to such training and challenges can the wolf spirit be awakened and developed. Many Chinese companies are now conducting such training regularly. Over time, employees are thoroughly indoctrinated, lose their ability to think independently, and become like servants. Renowned Chinese stand-up comedian Xu Zixing, while commenting on the current unspoken rules in China's workplace, shared that a leader once advised him when he had just entered the workforce, saying, now that you've entered society, you should learn to be a dog before being a human. So, this vividly reflects the work environment in Chinese society. This phenomenon is a result of the promotion of the servant-type party culture by the Chinese Communist Party. It's well known that the starting point for CCP officials is often serving as secretaries to higher-ups. They have to serve their leaders like servants to have a chance for career advancement. For instance, Xi Jinping's first job was serving as the secretary to Yang Biao, who was the Secretary General of the Central Military Commission at that time. In the current 7 members of the CCP's Politburo Standing Committee, both Li Qiang and Deng Xiang have previously served as Xi Jinping's secretaries. This illustrates how powerful the servant-type party culture is within the CCP. During his inspection visit to Guilin, Xi Jinping was caught on camera reprimanding Zhou Zhijiabin, the secretary of Guilin Municipal Committee. Foreign media made jokes saying, "So, this is the official culture in China." Some netizens even mocked. Officials can only nod and say ayes in front of their masters. Now, This despicable practice of the Chinese Communist Party has spread to workplaces in China. Many companies treat their employees as servants. They resort to physical abuse, even corporal punishment, using various shocking methods. Zhangzhou Rural Commercial Bank, for instance, physically punishes its employees by vigorously beating them with sticks, and they're not allowed to use their hands to shield themselves. Some female employees end up in tears due to the severe physical abuse. Employees who fail to meet their performance targets are even subjected to collective punishments, such as forced kneeling and ear slapping, which have sparked controversy. An old video of top celebrity Li Yifeng disciplining his employees has been exposed, where employees are shown standing against a wall with their hands behind their backs. Employees face bizarre and abusive punishments in this company. If they fail to meet their performance targets, they are subjected to penalties such as being whipped, forced to eat cockroaches, and even drink urine. It's hard to believe that such scenes, usually found in movies, are happening in today's workplaces. This unusual corporate culture is found in a decoration company in Guizhou Province, China. If employees can't meet their performance goals, they are subjected to these strange punishments, including eating cockroaches, being whipped, and drinking urine. What's even more shocking is that the company has a rule stating that if employees don't comply with these punishments, half of their salary will be deducted. Former employees have revealed that they were subjected to brainwashing. The company's leadership was aware that punishing employees in this way is extremely humiliating. So, they hired a so-called wolf culture training organization to brainwash the employees. Unfortunately, after undergoing such training and psychological manipulation, employees often develop distorted judgments about right and wrong. The company takes advantage of this moment to trample on their employees' dignity and self-esteem. These Chinese companies aim to exert spiritual control over their employees to extract more labor value from them. The top-level design for spiritual control involves the indoctrination of culture, and its harm lies in fundamentally influencing people's thinking, causing them to lose their true cultural identity. For example, when the Qing dynasty's army entered China in 1644, they issued an order to shave one's hair as a means to consolidate their rule. The following year, a compulsory shaving order was enforced with a specified deadline, and anyone who failed to comply was treated as a rebel. Subsequently, they issued a clothing order that required the Han Chinese and other ethnic groups to dress like the Manchu and respect the Manchu's clothing and hairstyle system. The purpose was to mentally subjugate people and use violence to make them gradually forget their own cultural identity. Just like the 996 working system in Chinese internet companies, it appears to be a form of wolf culture, but at its core, it embodies a servile culture where employees are viewed as tools and even slaves. As Jack Ma once said, today the companies like Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent can achieve the 996 working hours because it's a blessing for us. On April 11, 2019, Jack Ma, the chairman of Alibaba's board of directors, discussed the controversial 996 overtime culture in an internal communication with employees. He stated, "In this world, each one of us hopes for success, a better life, and respect. I'd like to ask all of you, without putting in effort and time beyond others, how can you achieve the success you desire?" This is a prime example of spiritually controlling employees. Commentator Liang Wendao points out that the problem with the 996 working system lies in the exploitation of your time, which is essentially your labor. Employers demand that you sell your labor to them, and employees are left with no choice but to comply. However, employees also need to find a way to restore their labor. Employers are even taking away the time employees need to rejuvenate their labor. If this continues in the long run, the mechanism of labor production for employees will be disrupted. For instance, after working 996 for a few years, like some high-level employees of a well-respected national company, alluding to Alibaba, they reach a point where their health is deteriorating. They resign and tell the well-known big boss, hinting at Jack Ma, "I can't continue like this, and my wife doesn't want to be in this place. She's in another city, and if this continues, I'll lose my family, and my health is deteriorating." How does the boss respond? The boss says, "What's the point of having a wife like that? Do you have any ideals or visions? Can you not handle such a minor health issue? Liang Wendao emphasizes that if an employee eventually breaks down or if their labor reproduction cannot keep up, their job performance and performance reviews will suffer. Do you know the result? The boss will fire them. After being exploited for several years, the best solution for the employer is to get rid of them and bring in a new batch of employees. Video blogger Xi'an expresses that many things around us that seem reasonable are actually designed to indoctrinate the public. People without independent thinking capabilities may fall into these traps and become money-making tools for certain groups. In the early days of the Republic of China, the renowned Beijing University professor Gu Hongming said, "The braid on my head is tangible, but the one in your heart is intangible." Having a braid in one's heart means that one's self-confidence has crumbled, leading to religious-like obedience and superstition towards certain things. People place a heavy burden on themselves, turning themselves into servants, and after kneeling for a long time, their knees grow roots, and they can't stand up. The hope is that all Chinese laborers can awaken, cut off the braid in their hearts, and stand up proudly as human beings. Besides, abusing Chinese laborers can be to blame for the wealth disparity in China. On January 29th, an employee at the gas station had just finished refueling the car, replaced the nozzle, and closed the fuel tank cap. Turning around, she waited by the vehicle to settle the payment. Upon seeing cash being extended from inside the car, she reached out to receive it. However, the person inside the car merely extended their hand briefly and then quickly let go, causing the money to fall to the ground. The employee stood still in surprise, glancing at the person inside the car, and slowly crouched down to pick up the scattered bills. After a brief pause, the vehicle left the refueling area. The employee collected the scattered money, wiping a tear from her eye with her hand. In the context of China, the amassing of wealth is intricately interwoven with the notion of face and the unrelenting pursuit of impressing others. Money serves as a tool to assert authority, with individuals parading their financial prowess to establish dominance and wield influence over those in their social circles. This attitude seems to declare, "My wealth affords me the privilege of setting the rules." It is a learned response deeply ingrained in societal norms, likely influenced by one's upbringing and work environment. The wealth gap in China is nothing short of astonishing. Envision a scenario where nearly half of the country's population in rural areas grapples with meager incomes, while urban centers are adorned with individuals cruising in luxury vehicles like Ferraris and Bentleys. The chasm that separates middle-income individuals from the obscenely wealthy is of astronomical proportions. To truly comprehend this disparity, one must experience it firsthand by transitioning from rural regions to the bustling metropolises of Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Beijing. This gaping wealth divide, coupled with the absence of religious influence in China, has contributed to the elevation of money to a quasi-deity status. Money has acquired a divine aura, and those who possess it are revered as saints, leaders, and controllers of the masses. This phenomenon stands in stark contrast to a capitalist society. But during in a restaurant, it is only fair to regard the waitstaff as equals, individuals striving to earn a livelihood much like yourself. However, in China, service industry workers are frequently relegated to inferior positions and subjected to disdain, perpetuating an unjust system that calls for reform. Chinese society still has substantial ground to cover in addressing the treatment of underprivileged individuals and service industry professionals. This unsettling reality is exemplified by incidents such as the one where a man carelessly scatters money on the floor, expecting a waitress to pick it up as if she were a beggar. The emperor and peasant mentality remains deeply ingrained in the fabric of Chinese culture.